Today, I'm gonna be trying food from Arknights. This is a very special recipe that Arknights had sent us, and they happen to be sponsoring this video. They wanted to showcase something really special, and that is their brand new manga, Road's Kitchen Tidbits. This is a special spin-off based on Arknights, and it features characters like Amiya. There's a tremendous amount of cooking in this, and they had sent me a very exclusive recipe that you guys get to see firsthand. Now, the manga actually details the diets of the Rhodes Island operatives, and that is what we get to eat today. As soon as I saw this recipe, I was really excited to dive in, so that's exactly what we're gonna be doing today, and we're gonna be taste testing it to see if this is worth making. Thank you again to Road's Kitchen Tidbits for sponsoring this video. We're gonna talk about them later. Now for this kebab recipe, we'd have to make a couple of sides. So I have 1 cup of water, and this is just about 3 tablespoons worth of sugar. This is gonna be for the pickled cabbage. I'm just gonna microwave this. It does say to heat it over the stove, but you don't really need to. The only reason why you would heat it over the stove is to dissolve the sugar. I mean, microwave works fine. Now the next piece is gonna be some red cabbage. This is just a pickled shredded cabbage. Now I really only needed a cup of cabbage, so we only need like half of this to be full. It's just easier to cut a quarter head because of the way it's shaped. That's plenty. Cabbage on the floor cabbage. Look at that, sugar is almost dissolved. Give this a quick mix just to make sure all that sugar actually gets dissolved in there. We're gonna do maybe 2 pinches of salt. And then I have some apple cider vinegar. This is 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. Pop that right on top of everything. Oh, look at that. It's also gonna get 1/2 a teaspoon of chili flake. I'm gonna just eyeball it because I actually want this to be a little more spicy than that. So I'm gonna do basically 1 teaspoon worth instead of a half. Lastly is gonna be 3 cloves of crushed or chopped garlic. I like to do crushed. I think it's just a better texture and consistency. Now just mix this up just a bit. Make sure that all of it's kind of folded in there. The garlic's gonna float to the top. It's gonna be fine. Boom, lid, done. That only took us what, 5 minutes? Maybe? Pickled cabbage. In the fridge for maybe 2 hours or so. Overnight is gonna be really nice though. Now the next condiment is actually some salsa, which I thought was super interesting, especially considering that these are kebabs, right? Kebabs with pickled red cabbage, and then we're gonna be doing a kind of mayonnaise dressing after this. I'm really curious to see what all of this tastes like once it finally comes together. So here I just have 1/2 a red onion, give us a nice dice, plop this right into my container. I love these containers, guys. I sing their praises every time I can. Okay, 1/2 an onion. Done. This also gets 2 tomatoes. Then I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna dice this tomato. What I like about this recipe so far is that it comes together very quickly. And yes, I am accounting for the fact that not everyone is the best with knife skills, so you do have to account for that, but you can substitute things. Like, you don't have to make the salsa. You could buy some really nice salsa too. There we go. Tomatoes, done. That again, like this is only 2 tomatoes and it's quite significant. Like this is gonna be almost a full container of salsa right here. Next, jalapeno. Now, it does say only 1/2 a jalapeno, but I'm actually gonna use the entire jalapeno. This is up to your discretion. I don't want you guys to be, fighting all the spice if you don't like it, so only use a half if you're making this. But since I like really spicy and my wife likes really spicy, we're gonna do the entire jalapeno without the seeds. Slice this guy up, okay? Just like this, got little thin slices. Now I have all this sliced. This is where I line it up and I start dicing this guy. Okay, jalapeno is in. I think this is all of the main ingredients, and now we just have seasoning. Now to this, we're gonna do a little bit of wow, words are hard today. Ground coriander. Okay, a little ground coriander right in there. A heavy pinch of salt because there's a lot of tomato in there. A bunch of ground black pepper, touch of cumin. Now they say to taste for the cumin, the black pepper, and the salt, so I'm just gonna start off with a little bit. 1 lime, which we might have to increase the lime amount because that's a lot of salsa. We're gonna give this a quick mix and we're gonna taste it too. This is a pretty nice looking salsa. See that? Cheers. Oh, that's spicy. That's good. I went hard on that jalapeno. Salsa, done. Now the last one is very reminiscent of a tzatziki sauce, but the primary ingredient in this is mayonnaise, and we need 1 cup worth of mayo, which is a significant amount of mayonnaise. I don't need this much of it, so we're gonna reduce everything just a little bit. Now to this, I'm adding a few tablespoons worth of yogurt as well. Then we need 1/2 a lemon. This is just gonna give it a nice like citrusy kind of fresh pop to it. Into this, we're doing 5 whole cloves of garlic. These are actually pretty small cloves, so if you have some bigger ones, you can adjust from there. Need a quick glug of olive oil, just about a tablespoon worth. Pinch of salt just to start because this is also to taste. And then it just says some garlic powder. I only have granulated garlic, but you can really use whatever you have. Need about a teaspoon worth of sugar right into that. And then the last thing we need is some fresh thyme. Fresh thyme is optimal here, but if you don't have it, you can just use dry thyme. That's gonna be okay too. Thyme right into the sauce. Now let's give this a mix. I'm really curious as to what this is gonna taste like, especially being predominantly mayonnaise. Give this a little taste for salt. That's pretty good. It is very strong on the mayonnaise, but I really like that. I would use this for a sandwich for sure. Pop this into here because I'm quickly running out of room in my poor refrigerator. Now with this done, we just have to make the kebabs. And I got a special bird for that one. Now this recipe calls for fowl beast. And so I have ourselves it's chicken. It's chicken from Costco. Okay. Now there is a reason why I'm using the whole chicken. This does call for 3 different types of meat, which I could assume, if you look at the recipe, being some kind of bird, because there's also a fowl beast egg. We do have to take off the chicken skin because I don't actually have like a meat grinder for this, and I'm just gonna be using a Roku or a food processor, 1 chicken breast. Boom. Gandalf, you can't have this, sir. You're so hangry all the time. I feed you so much. 2 chicken breasts, because this calls for about 5 pounds worth of meat, so it's quite significant. Okay, hold on. Let me get your chair. He's gonna attack my chicken. I already know it. Take off the chicken thighs. We need those along with the legs. Now this, we could use the drummies, but you can't really get the meat off of there, so I'm actually gonna save this entire carcass and make stock. Break this down real quick. We're gonna need both the chicken thigh and the chicken leg meat. Try to get some of these tendons out. You don't really wanna eat those. All that work for that much meat. This is why when you buy deboned chicken thigh, it's actually kind of expensive. There's our second set of our chicken thigh and our chicken leg. That's just gonna go straight in. Now, I do need to break down these breasts real quick. Otherwise, they're gonna be not easy to really blend up in our food processor. Now, once all that's done, our chicken meat is pretty much ready to grind up. Remember, we're gonna save all of this for stock. Now, the next thing I have to do after I've cut up all of my meat is instead of mincing this by hand, I'm gonna be using a food processor. To this, I'm adding about 1 tablespoon worth of paprika. Paprika, right? Okay, I was like, oh my God, that looks like cayenne. A nice heavy pinch of salt, cracked black pepper right on top of everything else. About a teaspoon worth of cumin on this one too. 1 whole fowl beast egg, chicken egg. A little splash of cooking wine, and in this case, I just have some sake laying around, but feel free to use whatever cooking wine you want. And then finally, some granulated garlic for the finishing touch. Now, this does get 3 other things, but we're gonna have to add that after this. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's pretty nice. That's good. Yeah, that's ready to go. Make sure none of this is left, well, as little as possible is left on there, because I try my best to get all this off. I'm gonna place this chicken mixture in the fridge while I get the other 3 things ready that I was talking about. Now, 2 of those 3 are gonna be some bell peppers. I have 1 whole green bell pepper that we're going to nice and finely chop up, along with 1 red. Now, there's a big reason why I didn't place this in the food processor, because if you do, you're gonna release a ton of liquid along with everything else. Bell peppers have a ton of natural liquid in them, so if you were to throw them into that food processor, it would have made the mixture entirely too wet, and then you would just had this sloppy, goopy mess, and you don't want that with kebab, do you? Do you? All I'm doing is slicing each of these bell peppers into nice thin slices, and then we're gonna give this a nice dice right afterwards. Now, chopping this up, this looks like a ton of bell pepper. So we're gonna eyeball some of this, and I'm just gonna keep the rest for something else. I'll do something with it. Now, into this is where I'm adding my bell pepper. And again, I'm gonna eyeball some of this because see, like just doing that, look how much is left in here, right? And how much I already have in here, that's gonna be a significant amount because we just want a little bit of that bell pepper in there. I think that's plenty. Now, the last thing we need to add is actually cilantro. I read this on the recipe as coriander, which yes, it is also coriander, but I read it as dried coriander. So we're gonna have the other Paul go and pick up cilantro. I think Paul is back with the cilantro, so I can finally add it to this. You got it? All right, thanks, man. Just leave it there. I'll get it in a second. My hands are full of chicken. So sometimes it's really nice to have a little bit of help. At least he brought me the cilantro, and I just have to add it into this, and then we can finally start making these kebabs because I am freaking starving. Get all of this good in there. The fresh herbs, man, it just takes it so much further. It just smells so much more aromatic just from adding the fresh cilantro in there. Like it is a huge difference. Now I'm gonna let this rest for another hour or so before I start forming the patties, and then we can cook everything off. It's been about an hour on this meat, and it is ready to form and throw in the oven. This is literally the last leg of it. I'm gonna try to form this to the best of my ability, which is not gonna be very good ability, and we're just gonna bake this off. So we're just gonna form it on the sheet tray. It's a little hack, you know? This way you get nice little meat logs out of it. Now this guy gets into the oven at 440 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 minutes, or until the internal temperature is 165 because it's chicken, and then it's done. I ended up cooking them for about 10 minutes instead of 8 minutes, and these are ready. They don't have as much color as I would like because we are baking them in the oven, but they smell amazing. I'm just gonna take this little guy. Oh, so moist and hot. I think we should assemble this. Now, I'm going to assemble it like how they had shown me in the recipe, but I am gonna modify it the second way, which I think is gonna be the ultimate way to eat this. We got our 2 kebabs, yeah, our pickled cabbage. Look at how nice and tender this cabbage has gotten now. Oh, pickled cabbage, man, so good. Then some of our like mayonnaise, yogurty, garlicky sauce just right on top of that. And then top it off with some of the salsa that we made too. Like this looks so good. Okay, this is the first way. Look at that plate. That is a nice plate. I'm so excited for this. So we're gonna get a little bit of the kebab, and we're just gonna eat this by itself. I didn't think I would like the Kewpie-based sauce, but that's actually really nice. You can see that right there? Nice and tender, yeah? The salsa has a little bit of a kick to it, adds some freshness. The kebabs themselves are really tasty. And how is this cabbage? Oh yeah, uh-huh. Okay, plate up 2. Watch. Now look at this plate up. Huh? Just a little pita bread goes such a long way. Look at that. Yeah, you wanna put that in your mouth? I don't know what it is with kebabs and innuendos. Now we're gonna take a bite of this bad boy. And I gotta say, make sure you get subscribed because I'm trying to hit 1 million subscribers, and then I'm gonna be buying a food truck when that happens. Cheers. Do it this way. There's more better. Oh my God. The pita bread just helps it so much. And honestly, thank you to Arknights and Rhodes Kitchen Tidbits for letting me discover these flavors. I don't think I would have had anything like this had you guys not sent this recipe over. I'm really glad I could share it with you guys. And if you want to check out Arknights or Rhodes Kitchen Tidbits manga down below, all the links are going to be there for you. Remember, Arknights is free to play on iOS and Android, so make sure you hop in and start playing. I'm going to take this down. My name is Chef PK, and remember, keep playing with your food. This is so good. By the way, the Rhodes Island's Central Kitchen Community event, the New Year's Gourmet Feast, is now open for you guys to have some fun in. So I'll see you over there after I finish that sandwich. It's really good.